Nutrition information can be so confusing, and as advanced as we are medically and scientifically, the question remains, what foods should we eat to achieve good health? Believe it or not, in the 1950s, sugar was actually touted as an energy and weight loss aid. In the 1990s, the fat-free craze took over. And in early 2000, carbs became the biggest threat of all. When it comes to our overall health, we've been given mixed messages as well. Eggs were once the villain, and now they're seen as a great protein source. And it was just a generation ago that tropical oils, including coconut oil, were deemed a serious risk to heart health. Doesn't it all seem very hard to swallow? And how do we determine the health from the hype? So what should we be putting in our bodies? The two things on the hot plate today, eggs and coconut oil. And we're joined by cardiologist Dr. Andrew Freeman and Dr. Michael Miller, co-authors of a controversial new paper about our diets, who join us with their findings. Because what I love is, we'll start with eggs. Are they good? Are they bad? Some say yes, some say no. And I love that you two, as cardiologists, came together and we're looking into foods that we should and shouldn't eat. But the two of you don't even agree on eggs, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. We actually went to breakfast this morning. Michael and I are friends, but we do have different eggs? He had eggs. Okay. I had oatmeal. But what I will tell you is that, you know, the U.S. dietary guidelines for Americans came out just at the end of 2015, and they now say that you should consume as little cholesterol as possible. And the average egg has about 200 milligrams of cholesterol, so that's one right there. Some very large studies and some meta-analyses, which are studies of studies, show that when you eat more eggs, you're more prone to developing diabetes or worsening diabetes, believe it or not. And so it seems that eggs are the most concentrated source of choline in the American diet, and that choline, in some studies from Harvard, appears to be linked to prostate cancer. In other studies, seems to be linked to colon cancer. And there's a whole body of evidence that's now emerging on all the different biomarkers and precursors, and choline in particular.
But don't we need choline? I mean, choline is a precursor.
Eggs. I eat eggs for the choline.
Some people are taking choline when they eat eggs. And then maybe Dr. Miller, you can speak to this, because I know you have a differing view of eggs. And so
I have a much different view on eggs. And as it turns out, first of all, the egg whites have a lot of protein and vitamins and really good, but it's that egg yolk that contains some cholesterol. But what we've come to appreciate is that the amount of cholesterol in an egg has been reduced by about 50% over the course of the last 30 to 40 years for a number of reasons. One was the way cholesterol was measured in eggs was not as accurate as it appears to be now. So in effect, a recent study came out to show that cholesterol content in an egg is somewhere closer to 150 to 160, and that continues to improve. It was about 200 maybe about 10 years ago, and it was close to 300 back in the 1970s. But I think the other important point to consider is the egg yolk. So you have choline in there. You also have vitamins, really good vitamins.
And you're actually saying choline in there is a good thing.
yeah, and
that's what.
Right. So I'm saying choline is a good thing.
And this is where and so continue, because this is just, if you weren't confused enough, now you're more confused. Because Dr. Freeman's saying, okay, choline.
Well, I think it goes back to some of the studies, though, right? Because you can cherry pick studies sometimes, and you can find what you're looking for. And I think there's so much controversy.
True,
about...
but I would comment, though, the choline content in a lot of these foods, you can get choline from lots of sources. This is a very concentrated source. You know, a study out of Harvard, just 2.5 eggs per week raises your risk of prostate cancer by 80%. So wouldn't you want to get choline from something else in a lot less concentrated source?
But there are other studies that don't show the same thing.
I was going to say that I think that's my concern, is because I feel like as physicians we try to keep up with all of the journals and we read, but it seems like every month there's a new study that comes out that might contradict a different one. The big picture is
the World Health Organization, right? I see them as sort of the body of the bodies, right? And so they have done surveys and analysis. The last one was of 34 countries, and they show that people who consume large amounts of choline, typically in the form of eggs, have much more cancer, particularly colorectal cancer.
Back to you, Dr. Miller. We'll have a little back and forth here.
Well, yeah, so the egg yolk also helps to improve both our vision, so eye health, brain health, and choline is a mood enhancer. So there are a number of factors that, in effect, promote good health with eggs in moderation.